Hello my friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And happy Halloween to everyone. I hope everyone is having a safe and fun Halloween. And if you happen to hear any rustling in the background, like over in that area, it's because I have Pima down here because she was being extremely naughty upstairs and barking. So anyway, what I have for you today are 10 films that really scared me. Now this is very different from saying these are the scariest films of all time. Very different. And just to let you know, these lists, as I always say, they are subjective, they're for fun. It's just to get a conversation started about what scares us, because fear is very personal. What scares me may not scare you. So definitely let me know down in the comments, what kind of movies scare you? Is it germs, bugs, enclosed spaces, home invasions, monsters, whatever it is, tell me. And you'll see from my list, most of the things that scare me, I don't scare easily, but the things that do scare me tend to be things that I think I could really see happening. There's a few exceptions in here, but for the most part, those are the things that truly have terrified me in films. I'm just going to get right into it with my first one, which is pretty obvious and probably makes a lot of people's lists. Jaws. Now this one I saw the summer after 6th grade, and I can honestly say I have not been in the water since. And it's because this is something that I could truly see happening. I live at the Jersey Shore. I've been to the beach my entire life. My parents took us as kids. My grandparents took us as kids. We spent the summer at my grandparents' home that was down on the water in a lagoon with brown, murky water. And after seeing this movie, I have not been in the water since. So it definitely did its job. And I think the main reasons that this scares me is because sharks are real, they live in the water, and occasionally they hurt or eat people. And the other thing was the effectiveness of the cinematography in Jaws, like those underwater shots where you're seeing it from the point of view of the shark and you see the legs dangling, swimmer's legs. Just because of that, I cannot go in any kind of water where I can't see what's coming up from underneath me. So unless it's a pool, you're not going to see me in the water. And fun fact, just a little aside, because a lot of people I find don't know, Jaws was done in 1975, and if you look right here, it's only rated PG. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, I think this is a really terrifying movie, and because the rating system was different then, it's only rated PG. So now you'll know that for the next fun trivia game you play. And this next one, this just took bad dates to a whole new level. It's Audition. And this one was done in 1999, and soon after, all the rage came out about online dating. And the first time I saw this was around the time when online dating was becoming very popular. A lot of my friends were doing it. I was checking it out, and you never know who you're going to meet. So the girl in this story seems very unassuming in the beginning. She's young, she's quiet, she seems harmless enough, and she turns out to be his worst nightmare. So that always scared me, because when you're talking about meeting people via the internet, of course I don't do that anymore, but when I was younger and I did, it was always a concern. You never know who you're going to meet. And Audition just plays on that, and it plays on that fear of not really knowing the person like you think you do and just finding out really bad things. So I've always found Audition to be a terrifying movie. And this next one is one of those ones that I was talking about that I know could never ever happen, but it scares me. It has always scared me. And I think part of the reason is that the first time I saw this, I was very young. This is done in 1973. It's The Exorcist, and I know a lot of people still hold this up as one of the scariest horror films of all time, and rightfully so. And this was done in a time before computers, and they had to rely on really good writing, really good practical effects, great direction, great cinematography, great performances, and this movie has it all. This has scared the life out of me from day one, and to this day scares me. And I know that this kind of thing can never happen, but it is just so effective, and it just grabs you and it doesn't let go from the beginning right through to the end. And I know I've told you guys in the past, but this was actually for people who are new to the channel. When I first got a home theater setup, very simple home theater setup, after I did everything and got everything going, this was the movie that I chose to watch for my first home theater experience, and it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was home alone. Scared the life out of me. So don't watch this for your first home theater experience, because it will definitely scare you. And fun fact, I still have my original DVD. I didn't have it on VHS because during the VHS years we had Blockbuster and other stores for rentals to rely on. But I kept this. It's the old, I think this is called the Keep Case or Snap Case, I don't know. But I kept this because it's even a flipper disc. Check that out. But I kept it because I joked with my friends and I said, I feel like this is one of those things that if I ever sold it, I'd come home and it would be back on the shelf. That's how much The Exorcist scares me. So that's just a fun little aside. And this next one, you guys made fun of me when I said that this movie scared me, but if you lived where I live, you'd be afraid too. It's The Strangers. And when I saw this movie, my house, I've lived in the same house for, I want to say 26 years, but my house is in a very remote location and I was pretty much surrounded by woods. There's no streetlights. It's very isolated. And I mean, they have since built homes around me, but at the time there were no houses. It was just like very woodsy, very dark, very isolated. And when I saw this film, it just terrified me. Like that whole somebody coming to your house in the middle of the night, knocking on the door, and they have these sacks on their head. I mean, come on, look at that. How can that not be scary? And there they are on the back with the masks. And that one scene, I believe it's when she's in the kitchen and you see the guy standing behind her in the corner. Oh my, that just scared the life out of me because these are things that I totally fear could really happen. I feel like it could really happen. And I remember after seeing this, I lived alone. I would check the windows and the doors for months every night before I went to bed. And every thump or bump or if the dogs barked, I was up with a flashlight going around the whole house. So The Strangers, you got me bad. And this next one, this is kind of newer to my list, but it definitely plays on one of my fears. I have a real fear about having workers around the house, and The Collector totally fed into that fear. Ever since I've seen this movie, I tell my friends, see, this is why I don't have guys working at the house. And basically what this is we have a house that's being renovated, and there's numerous crews working at the house, and someone or a couple someones from the crews decide to break into the house when the family goes away, and they booby trap the house. Kind of like think like Home Alone and Saw mixed together, kind of a big ugly mess. So when people actually walk back into the house, it's going to be booby trapped. But I have always had this fear of workmen being at my house and then somehow figuring out a way to get back in. And I actually know people who were robbed by the people who put their security system in, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So yeah, The Collector really plays on my fear of people having access to my home or being able to be there when I come back home. So, and The Collector is an awesome movie, and I believe the second one is called The Collection, maybe, but they're both really, really good movies. Highly recommend them. And this next one, this is probably the most terrifying revenge film I have ever seen. It's called I Saw the Devil. It's a Japanese, it's a Korean film. So it's in Korean with English subtitles. We have a serial killer who kills the wrong girl at the beginning of the movie. And her husband is relentless in his pursuit of revenge on this guy. It is a brutal, violent revenge movie, but so, so good. So this is just one of those films. It's just the whole thing. I had anxiety from beginning to end. So I Saw the Devil. If you want to see a really good revenge film, definitely check it out. And this next one, it's just a scary movie. It's a remake of an original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the remake. Look at that. This is the lenticular, one of those lenticulars they had at Best Buy. This is probably one of the best remakes I have ever seen, because the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't really scare me, but this one from I believe it's 2009. It's with Jessica Biel. No, I'm sorry, it's 2003. With Jessica Biel, but this just terrified me. It is from beginning to end, violent, brutal, and the anxiety. There's just anxiety and tension throughout. My stomach was in a knot the entire time I watched this. It even says on the back, you want scary? This is scary. It is a great remake, and I am not a person who's big on remakes, but this one, they nailed it. And if you want a scary movie, this is a scary movie. Next one, I saw this in theaters, and again, this is another one where you have to kind of suspend disbelief, but it is such an effective movie. Josh Hartnett and Melissa George in 30 Days of Night. This takes place in a town in Alaska, so it's got this snowy, dark setting, and it's 30 days of darkness that they experience in Alaska. And what ends up happening is, for the people who decide to remain behind and live in the darkness, vampires come in and take over the town. And it is just a terrifying, claustrophobic, anxiety-inducing movie. It is so well done. I'll show you the vampires on the back, but these are probably the scariest vampires I have ever seen. And I remember seeing this in the theater, and some of the places where the people were hiding, it was that claustrophobic. You could feel yourself like not being able to breathe. Such a great movie. And like I said, here, maybe you can see him on the back there. That's one of the vampires, but the vampires are totally terrifying. And this is a really, really great, probably one of my favorite vampire movies out there, and really good right up to the end. They don't cut any corners in this one. It goes right through to the end, and it's really, really awesome. So if you haven't seen 30 Days a Night, give it a look. And this next one, I am not really a big fan of fear footage, but this is one that I really did enjoy. I've seen it a couple times now, because I thought the first time I thought it was weird that I felt so anxious, but I have anxiety the entire film every single time I watch this. It's called The Houses October Built. And what it is it's a group of friends. Like I said, it's a found footage film. It's a group of friends who are going around in an RV trying to find the best extreme haunts that come up, because these haunts come up during the Halloween season. And I have actually gone to haunts, which I think is part of the reason that this scared me so much, because I always said, you could very easily be a maniac and hide out in a haunt, and who would know the difference? But what ends up happening is, the people from the haunts aren't real thrilled that these crew of friends are documenting what goes on at their haunts, so they start kind of stalking them, and it's that whole weird vibe and never knowing who's going to be outside the door, who's watching you. Total anxiety-inducing film. And even if you don't like found footage, but if you like the whole idea of the haunts and things like that, I think you'll really like this one. I have heard that the second one kind of ruins the first one, so I'm a little apprehensive to watch it, but I really did enjoy this one in an anxious kind of a way. But it definitely scared me, because I do really feel like that's something that could happen. And you put haunts and crazy people together, and you know how the world is today, anyone could be anywhere. So I highly recommend The Houses October Built. And this last one, I didn't find the movie itself that frightening, but what it represents definitely terrifies me, and that is the Babadook. Is it Babadook? Babadook. Don't say it too many times or he'll come out. And this is a really cool, let me show you this slipcover. You've probably seen it before, but it's got the pop out. It's pretty cool. I don't think it's available anymore. It was from Scream Factory. But basically what it is it's a young mother and her son, and they are grieving the loss of her husband, the little boy's father, and they discover the Babadook. But what the monster really represents is our emotions kind of taking over, loss, grief, those types of things. And that has always been something that scared me, how our emotions can control us and kind of take over, and what happens if you can't deal with a difficult situation and you just kind of get lost in all those emotions. So that for me is something that's always been scary, because I have been fortunate enough in my life not to really lose anyone who's very close to me. Of course it's going to happen at some point, but you wonder, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to get through it? And this film really nails it like none other. And like I said, the real monster in the story is our own emotions. So that's kind of a scary concept. But yeah, the Babadook, if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a look. So those are the 10 films that really, truly scared me. And whether you agree or disagree, tell me in the comments what scared you. I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I really enjoyed doing it for you. I thought it would be a fun way to get us talking about fears and different things like that. And I thought it would be fun to put out there on Halloween. So I want to thank you guys as always for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, suggestions, recommendations, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And I'm going to be back real soon because you know what starts tomorrow? Barnes & Noble Criterion 50% off sale. Get your list going. But I'm going to be back with some fun Criterion content real soon. And again, I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. And for me today, that's a wrap.